In this lesson, Shrisha and I are going to help demonstrate the difference between the step and the bounce, and the situations in which you want to use these two movements, because these two are not the same. The situations are going to be different, and that's what we're going to look at in this lesson. So to begin with, we are going to look at the bounce. The bounce is a pretty good place to start. That's where you're not really moving too much, but you do want to be responsive, so you're kind of bouncing in place. This allows you to have a good response timing if you have to retreat, you have to advance, or you want to attack. It just means you're not going to be flat-footed. So we'll do a quick demonstration of what that looks like. So we're going to stand on guard. And the bounce is really just where you're kind of in place, your feet can be moving, but you don't want to be jumping up. High movements doesn't help, but bounce is good. This means if someone attacks, you can easily extend against them, or you can step back. It makes you a lot more responsive. So Shrisha steps in, I can attack. But if I'm flat-footed and she does the same thing, it's unlikely to be that effective. So she's bouncing, she's moving in and out. I'm nice and relaxed. She starts her attack, and she's hitting before me. I'm flat-footed. I can't really respond. I'm going to be stuck in that situation. So the best thing I can hope for is an extension. So the bounce helps you move around, but not a big move. So if Shrisha's pushing me, or I'm pushing Shrisha, we're both on guard. If I'm bouncing and I'm stepping forward, she's going to be bouncing back. This allows me to build pressure. And the same thing, I bounce back, she can come forward. But so long as we're close, we can bounce. If we're really far apart, we don't need to expend that energy. We don't have to be 4 or 5 meters away and bounce. We can be static, we can be flat-footed, because that's so far away, there's not much they're going to be able to do at that time. We can respond. But the bounce is for when you're fairly tight, close distance, and you want to be responsive, you want to be ready. So where does the step come in? Well, the step is where the distance is more open. So I'm going to get Shrisha on the on-guard line. I'm going to be at mine. And we're going to be on guard. This distance we can bounce, so we're bouncing, but there's nothing for us to do. We're too far away. So if I want to reduce that distance, I might step forward. And now I'll start to bounce. Same thing, if I retreat, I'm so far away that Shrisha's going to start to advance. It's going to be the regular march, and then we're bouncing again. So what we're looking at is when the separation occurs. So Shrisha steps back, I'm going to step forward. Try to keep that space tight. If we're always moving around, there's great distances, it's not a good idea for your energy just to bounce forward all the time. There's a good separation of distance, got 4 or 5 meters between. Why not just advance forward? Don't be so casual to be just like ultimates walk, because then if they are ready, they will hit you. But the idea is, there's enough distance, you can step forward. If it's still pretty tight, pretty close, you want to bounce, and this allows you to be responsive. So let's look at how we do these two separate actions. So first, let's look at how we bounce. As I mentioned earlier, it's not about jumping. You don't want to clear the ground. That's not what we're doing. So when you're bouncing, you're really just using your feet, and that's ideally through your toe and your legs. So your legs are kind of going up and down, and you're going to be able to bounce off of your toe. And sometimes if you want to move forward, it's your back toe that's going to be bouncing, it's going to be your front heel that's going to be landing. So if I want to go forward, I can bounce like this. And that's effective because it helps me set up a lunge or a flash, any kind of attacking action I want. If I want to retreat, I can use my toe, which is going to be very soft, it's not going to be very aggressive retreat, or I can push with my heel and land on my toe for my back. So these are the two movements for the bounce. You don't want to use a lot of your leg, just sit in that on-guard position. So here we are. And this is our movement. So use the toe, use the leg, front foot. You can use the toe, but using the heel is a pretty good idea as well. Now for steps, the advance, you can be a little bit more relaxed. It's not going to be as unforgiving as foil or saber, and it's going to follow the same simple rubric. If you're on guard and you want to move forward, you're going to start with your front foot. And that's all you need to do. It's very simple, and there's nothing different. Step them back, same thing. If you need to move quickly, you're going to be pushing with your front leg, lifting with your back. So if I have to really retreat, I'm pushing, and that gives me some separation quickly. If I'm advancing, I can step with my front and push with my back, and that allows me to advance more aggressively. But this is for greater distances. You don't want to do that when you're really close. Save that for the bounce instead. So again, when you're advancing, no different than what you've already been taught. Front foot goes first, heel to toe, back foot follows, toe to heel. Okay, so very simple stuff, and these are the reasons why we want to use the bounce and the advance.